And here we have a lot of MGs and...
Hey.
Hey Al.
Yeah, this is Sunday morning MG Club. MG Car Club, what, Joburg, Gauteng, what are we?
Joburg and Pretoria, it's a
Joburg and
combined
Pretoria.
centres show day.
So we are in the middle of Pretoria, somewhere at the Pretoria Old Motor Club.
That's it.
And I'm surrounded by MGs.
Welcome to my world.
Now, believe it or not, Leadfoot happens to be an MG aficionado.
Well,
Well, he claims to be. But then he claims to be lots of things. But anyhow, including economical driving. But yeah, well, not the point. We're going to look at a few of these cars and check out a couple of the special cars that are here today. But I'm going to actually let Leadfoot do the chatting on it.
oh my word.
Or should I call you MG Foot for today?
No, MG foot for today. No,
Okay.
no pressure at all.
Right, there we go. So let's just check out a few of the special cars. A bit of a treat. Some really nice cars. Old ones, new ones, newer ones, whatever. Let's see them.
Al, just to begin with, you may recognize this car from a previous video, but this is probably one of the MGs that's easiest to recognize. It is, of course, the famous MGB, this being a particular roadster version of the car. And these were extremely popular in the day because they were relatively affordable and gave you relative sports performance. In modern parlance, I suppose you would consider these as being around about a Golf GTI type status back in its day. And
now
of course,
it's probably like a about a 0.2 litre city car.
well, you say that, but this car particularly is an 1800 with a three main bearing engine. Red lines at about 5,500 RPM, which is not a lot these days, but they're surprisingly sprightly when you're actually driving them. It's not a case of that modern traffic runs away from you entirely. You're able to keep up with it. I'm not so sure in the 0 to 100 time that we are even in close contention, but nonetheless they are still eminently drivable these days. Of course, the B was a replacement to the A. You can see where MG's model nomenclature sort of is coming from.
Really imaginative.
Really hard, really hard.
Yeah.
In fact, the A was the one that followed after the TF. Now, if that makes any sense to you, it shouldn't. But this is an example of an MGA. And what's common about MGs is a lot of people customize their cars. So you will find it's very rare to see two MGs that are ever the same. Even if they came out of the factory on the same day, they're not necessarily exactly the same. So this is just a nice little touch that this owner has fitted to their car. I wanted to point out there's a sticker on this car, which on this side, if you come around here, Al, is an interesting one. It is none other than the famous Piri Piri racing team. No one really knows who they are or what they do, but every now and then you'll see the sticker on an MG, and it is specifically and uniquely an MG thing. So somewhere along the line we know this guy has raced an MG somewhere on a track in anger. This is a B with a V8 conversion on it, and this is actually
So
built.
V8s were never standard.
They were never standard in the Roadster. You've got them standard in the hardtop, in the GT version.
The C was the V6, right?
C was a straight six.
Straight six, okay.
Straight six, yes.
And then there were a few C's out of the factory with V8s.
No, C never came out with a V8. If you
Okay.
ever found a C with a V8, it was an aftermarket conversion.
okay.
Like this one was done.
Yeah.
This was done by the late Gary Chapman, and in terms of building a motor, I'm sure Heather won't mind if I open it and show you. It is beyond a work of art. Of course, it is a left-hand drive, so everything is on the opposite side. But this car, no, I'm not sure now. Not being my car. The car,
Just while I'm next to you here, these bumpers tell me A, it's a very late car, am I right?
correct,
And probably being left-hand drive as well was built for the American market.
correct. So
Okay.
the rubber bumpers were actually a specification, a safety specification, which is a nod to you, that came out in the 70s, and it was a requirement that the cars were were to have rubber bumpers so that if you ever hit a pedestrian, they had some sort of semblance chance of surviving. With this particular motor here, this car is going to be going so rapidly that I don't think it would make any difference. But the attention to detail that this car has had put into it is exceptional.
Now, what engine is this? Is this the Rover 3.5
No,
V8
this
or
is,
not?
This is the exact copy of it, but it's got the MG badges on it. In other words, the actual rocker covers are MG.
Yeah, but it's
this
based
is,
on that.
It's based on that, yes. This
Okay,
is
which
this is one of those famous engines.
Yeah, and I mean the Leyland Group, they were used on every vehicle they built in some way or
Correct.
other.
Correct. Yeah. It's a fairly bulletproof V8. This one, as you can see, has got twin SUs on it. Often, guys, mine had a Holly carb in it that didn't add fuel to air, just poured pure fuel into the motor at the rate of consumption. The fuel consumption figures in these cars are off the clock, but the performance is quite satisfying. A lot of low-end grunt and plenty of
well,
get
in a
up and
body
go.
like this, I mean, can you imagine with this V8?
Yeah, no,
Wow.
it lights up the rear wheels with
I'm sure.
some enthusiasm. So this is just, and I have to say, you know, one of the key things about the car club is you've got a lot of people that pay a huge amount of attention to their cars, and they maintain them, and there's a lot of fun in that, and that's kind of what the camaraderie is all about: is who does what to their cars when, and who has what done. It's quite a thing. To show that MGs actually have gone way back, this is a 1948 MG, and this is what they call a Y-type, and this one has been restored by one of our club owners to almost meticulous levels of detail. Suicide doors, which are fun and games, but look at that interior. Black with a fantastic red interior, and believe me, driving these cars is an art in itself.
I love that spin wheel here. Wow.
Yeah, and the enormous steering wheel, because you had no power steering back in the day, so of course you have to turn things manually. But this is just an example of an earlier type with a sunroof.
Is that original?
Do you know, Alan? I actually don't know. Is it original, Cameron? Well, there we go. If you stand around long enough at one of these car shows, someone will tell you exactly where you are with this.
That was not common.
3 of the 4
in the 1940s.
wheels.
I would imagine.
Again, semaphore.
But you know, you've got the semaphores on the side that pop out, so it just gives you an indication of the age of the car. So
Yeah.
those are your indicators for people who don't know.
Right.
And we're standing in the middle of judging because this is actually a car that's being judged. And then over here we have a
I'm gonna
TC
keep the
special,
camera rolling, so
but
let's
yeah,
just-
we're just going to have to
Yeah.
deal with the crowds. This car's been built over the last couple of years, and the club has seen little snips and sniggles of it coming out as we go. What I want to point out is this entire body on this car has been hand built. The chap who built it is in fact Rajesh over there. He built himself an English
man
wheel, that man there. He built himself an English wheel to make the car with.
So he's used English wheels.
He's used English wheels. And everything you see here has been hand fabricated by him. It's a level of workmanship you won't find anywhere. And with a level of attention to detail that is off the clock. What is interesting about this car is it's got a supercharger, the original supercharger fitted on the front. It's housed underneath this cowling here. And as you can see, you have adjustable shocks. And that was standard back in the day.
Okay.
Not an optional extra, standard.
Okay.
Wow, it really is a thing of beauty. Just let the camera do the talking, because the amount of time and hours and energy that have gone into this car. And as I say, it's not uncommon in the car club that people go to this level of detail, and this has what is affectionately known as a whale tail. Some call them boat tails, but the rear of the car. And the exhaust system is very reminiscent of the racing cars of the day.
these are just a few of probably about, I'm going to guess, 80 to 100 cars that are here today. We've just shown you a couple of specials, a couple of the standout cars. But if you want to know more about MGs and MGs in South Africa, drop us a message, because maybe, I'm going to call him William for today in this context. Maybe William can actually answer you, help you, give you more info. But all I can tell you is that for Motor Matters, of course I'm L&R, surrounded by MGs. I'll see you next time.